everybody get their handouts?
No problem. I'll take the $100. Your husband actually called me right before the meeting. He said, "Yeah, Kathy is going to tell you I gave her $100, and she doesn't remember what it's
If
for."
you've only gotten my name correct, it's Margie.
Well, that's right. No, I know that. I know your name is Margie and her name is Kathy. But see, that's where the story kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Because why would your husband be telling me that Kathy gave Kathy $100?
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order now. It's, this is the October 3rd, 2017 Social and Economic Justice Commission meeting. And before we get started, in consideration of all the events that we've been experiencing over the last few weeks, having to do with hurricanes and also with the horrendous massacre that happened in Las Vegas Sunday night, I would first like to take a moment of silence to recognize all the people who have been supporting the recovery and the people who are suffering the loss. Okay, Isabel, could you please take the roll call?
Member Bauer,
Present.
Member Beal,
Present.
Member Marks, and Vice Chair Deal.
Here. Okay, our first order of business is approval of the action minutes. And I wanted to know if anybody had any comments or questions on them. Okay. Okay, I just have one thing on the 7-1 soda tax under the ayes. Did you mean to list Margie's last name there? Have Bart's last name is there twice. Isabel? 7-1 soda tax on the minutes from last time. We have Bart's name there twice.
Oh, okay. Yes, I see it.
Also,
Yes, I'll make that change.
Okay.
My last name is also Baer without a U. I don't know if it matters, but it's just.
Okay, so Margie is motion to approve it. Anybody
second.
All those in favor with the
Aye.
changes? Okay, thank you. All right. Now we have the section on public comment, and if there's anybody from the public who would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda, if it's on the agenda, then please wait until we get to that item. So this is off the agenda,
I don't see affordable housing on the agenda.
right? Okay.
I'd just like to encourage the Social Economic Justice Commission to play a role in development of affordable housing in Albany. I'm a little surprised it hasn't been on your agenda, so I'd like to encourage you to talk to a council member, possibly, to encourage them to ask you to get involved in development of affordable housing in Albany. I suspect you're aware that the county would contribute $2.6 million to a project. It could include housing and services for the homeless, but also housing for people who are service workers, even teachers, who can't afford to live in Albany. And if we could set the rents at some level, we're not, I guess you could say, fighting the market forces in the real estate business. I think Albany could feel pretty proud of what we're doing for our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan? Okay. Right, next, we have announcements from committee members, and I have two announcements. First of all, Jeff is unavailable to talk to us about rent review this month, and he will also be unavailable in November, so he will be preparing a memo to us to update us on what is going on with the rent review. And then the other announcement is, you probably got that Making a Difference Through City Government announcement. Did everybody get that? Okay. And it turns out that the event that they're asking people to participate on or in is November 7th, which is our next meeting. So I know Kathy Tomasak, the woman who sent out that invitation, and I talked to her and I said, well, I won't be available, but I could come at another time. And she said maybe I would be able to come to one of the meetings. So I can ask her if that's something that other people on the commission might be interested in doing.
I have alternative suggestion when it's time.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about this too, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
My alternative suggestion was, and what this is all about, this is about encouraging people in the community to get more involved and to serve on commissions. And so what I thought would be good, and particularly this is a very important commission on this topic, I thought we could actually have it on our agenda, and we could just go around and spend a minute, each of us that want to participate, and just say, you know, what it's meant to us to be involved with the commission, and particularly because, you know, you and Margie have been on the commission for so long, and, you know, there's a different, you know, I've been a relatively short period of time, and with Tara being in the high school, it's another different perspective. And if they want to, they could watch us on YouTube. They could cut over to YouTube during the meeting, and then, you know, we could get in that way. And I think that would be, it's also fine if one of us wants to speak, you know, at their meeting. But, I mean, the event is on November 7th, so that would be the best time. You know, if and then maybe we get some more coverage to the commission, too.
Okay, we'll put that on the agenda for our next
To
meeting.
clarify, Kathy, were you asking if we were interested in her coming to speak to us?
No,
Date
for one of us or all of us to go to one of their meetings. So
Okay.
we'll put it on the agenda for next time. Okay. Okay, are there any announcements from you, Isabel?
Just wanted to let the commission know that A1 funding update will be at the next council meeting. So there will be an update.
Okay.
What's the date of that?
October 16th.
Okay, thanks, Isabel. And now, Margie and I are going to talk about soda tax and our recommendations that we came up with, so we can hold a discussion about what we want to send to the city council. And I know you didn't get to see this before the meeting, so I'm pretty much going to go over it and read it. So the Albany Sugar Sweetened Beverage Tax was called Measure 01, and it was passed by the voters November 8th of 2016. And it was originally proposed by our commission with the purpose of reducing the consumption of sugary sweetened beverages by children to help prevent dental caries and the onset of diseases such as type 2 diabetes. And the tax is estimated to raise $223,000 in annual revenue. The measure doesn't legally restrict the use of tax revenues for any particular purpose and is therefore classified as a general tax. The ordinance requires the City Council to conduct an annual process for soliciting advisory recommendations from a variety of organizations and individuals regarding expenditure of the tax proceeds. So what we're doing is in response to the intent of addressing this solicitation process. That's what the purpose that our recommendations are playing. And our recommendations are based on our initial goal to reduce sugary sweetened drink-related health effects in children. There's three core elements or aspects of our recommendations. First of all, we believe we need to focus on education from adults through preschool, using a variety of formats such as required public and private school curriculums, workshops for parents, social media, traditional media, and library resources, all the way to the billboard that resides in Albany on the top of that building at Solano and San Pablo.
So just to clarify, is this in regards to like nutrition education or like
Well, that
related or just all?
as I go through this, you'll understand it better. The city would be responsible for implementing the program and the distribution and management of funding through the following means. Allocations to city entities such as the public schools, awards of grants to private organizations such as preschools and service organizations. You know, most of the preschools in Albany are actually private. And then the approved program would be required to meet the following criteria: target reduction of sugary sweetened beverage consumption. We feel like that's really the most essential part of the effort. The reduction of sugary sweet beverage consumption to help prevent dental caries and the onset of diseases such as type 2 diabetes. Focus on children and young adults, 0 to 26 years of age. We decided to set those parameters because I think it's becoming pretty well known that someone's brain does not really develop fully so that they have the foresight to make choices that affect their whole lives until they're around 23 years of age. So we feel like, it's good to start when someone is very young, but that needs to be reinforced when someone meets their teens or 20s and they are, have a lot of temptations put in front of them. Then another criteria would be to redirect children and young adults to healthy drinks. So the focus is on drinks and to address the economic issues related to the consumption of sugary sweetened drinks. I think there's been some improvement in some of the drinks that are made available on the counter so that they contain more nutrients and less sugar than they used to, but still some of those drinks are mostly sugar-sweetened water with maybe a small amount of actual fruit juice or some other beverage. So I really think that these criteria are very important for us. The City Council has an opportunity to call in other organizations. The ordinance requires them to do that, to solicit advisory recommendations from a variety of organizations and individuals regarding expenditure of the tax procedures. And if they do that, they can weigh our recommendations in consideration of these other organizations' recommendations. But for me, this is what we were trying to achieve initially. So that's my sales pitch. So if we could start with any comments that you might have, Tara?
Yeah, well, two things. One, I can see how this is designed to be sort of broad, but I think it might be good to specify, like, when you say education at all levels, like maybe a little bit more specifically what you mean, just because education, the word education is so broad and it can refer to so many different things. And then I know that, as we heard from Ben last meeting, and from the community, that specifically like nutrition education at younger levels and maybe extending that upward as well was pertinent. And then I also wanted to ask if you guys did consider the more infrastructural side of things, like before we talked about water fountains being broken in a lot of areas, and like water bottle filling stations and other things that we can do around the city on the more infrastructure side of things in terms of water access. And I think we also talked a little bit about maybe even doing some water testing in certain areas as well.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
So education at all levels, more specific. And then you talked about nutritional education, but to me that is being less specific, because nutrition is not just about the types of beverages you consume.
Right, that's true.
So that would be the focus
Right.
for this, is nutritional education in relationship to beverage.
Beverage consumption, okay.
We did talk about infrastructure.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I think those are really good ideas, and after we're done going across, I can talk about how we can follow up on your suggestions.
So a few things. First of all, I think it's important to see how the topic of soda consumption fits in with the overall topic of health and fitness, and how health and fitness and many other parts of the high school and lower education is being dropped, because of funding reasons. So that said, so I'm kind of saying, yes, it needs to be specific, but we need to look at the broader perspective. And that said, I would take exception in a way with targeting people between 0 and 26. The reason being that younger people learn from their parents. So their parents are the ones, giving them the soda and allowing them the soda. So it needs to be broader. So I'm okay with the word focus, but we also need to say, look, there needs to be some of the money, some of the effort needs to be put into the broader public. And then finally, the last point is just, I absolutely feel like the idea of drinking water refilling stations should be part of this budget, that it should be. I'd like to see, as much as 10% of the money spent on that, because not only, is it important for people to have water as the first choice that's in their face, but also I think that this, there's multiple benefits of this, because coincidentally, very soon after our last meeting, I was down at a local fast food restaurant, and a homeless person came in asking for water. And, the person at the restaurant didn't want to give them water, and they're out and they're deciding to, go do other things because they don't have access to water. So I think, for the homeless people, which is, one of our big targets of this commission, one of our big overall responsibilities, I think there's things we can do with this money that not only help address the soda issue, but also some of the other prevailing issues in the community. So, But other than that, I think this is, a really good job.
Okay, do you want me to respond? Sure. Okay, so I see where you may have interpreted this differently than what I intended. We would use a variety of educational formats to reach all levels from adult through preschool. And when I'm talking about adult, I'm including the parents, because I agree, they're very influential in what their children drink. And that is why one of the formats would be workshops for parents. There could be other things. I remember when my kids were in grade school getting a lot of handouts from them about different things, like checking the wires on your lamps to make sure that none of them are worn bare. And I actually found one. So my kids used to bring home a lot of stuff, and so that could be one of the things. So this is not everything. All of these formats for education are not everything. So I could change the language to make sure that it's clear that parents would play a role in meeting the criteria to reduce sugary sweetened beverage consumption in adults 0 to 26.
Okay, that sounds great. And I guess just one broader perspective item that one of you mentioned something about a billboard, right? And so the billboard, there may be actions now. We got the soda tax, and it's great we're talking about this. So I'm not going to go too far on this, but I think there may be some follow-on or dovetail kind of issues that the commission can take up, and this is one of them. That if there's advertising around soda, and I think another one is these meal deals that they have, where you get sandwich and chips and a soda. If there's something we can do to discourage that practice, or to maybe encourage like having a healthy beverage. Those are, I'm not going to go too far with it, but there's some other things that we can take up as a commission.
Like at McDonald's, they used to have those Happy Meals.
Right. Well, all the fast food restaurants in town have that.
Do we have fast food? We have Subway.
Well, I shouldn't name any names or label people, but yeah.
Taco Bell. All right. Okay.
But there are people that have
Okay.
those meal deals that where you get the soda for free, and then it's just so those are things. And again, there's broader health and fitness. I mean, I almost think there should be a health and fitness commission, with everything we're faced with healthcare. And I don't think there's a commission in Albany that's dealing with the healthcare
No.
problem.
Well, I personally think that's too broad, but I feel like there's a way to at least incorporate it, but not make it the focus.
Right. Well, even relating to that, I don't know how much influence we have here, but I know even from the middle school level, while they might not have name brand sodas available, they do have basically soda substitutes, which don't have any less sugar. They're just kind of marketed as like a healthier option. And then in middle school, when kids are allowed to use their money at school for the first time to buy their own food, it's, they're in these bright colored cans with like fun fonts, and it's really attractive. And then those habits lead to, in high school, a lot of people, they'll like go up to the nearest convenience store and get their soda because that's what they've always done. So even putting a little bit more pressure on the schools in that department, if we could do anything about that, I think it would be useful.
You'd have to educate the food purveyors.
Right.
Yeah. Well, why not? Maybe we can give them something for it,
Yeah.
awards or something like that. Okay. Archie?
Excuse me, Margie, can you speak in the microphone, please?
Sorry. I like is it on? Yeah. The idea of the water filling stations and testing water. So if there's any way we could incorporate that somehow.
Yeah, it probably involve East Bay Mud, and that could be a long bureaucratic process to get them to come in and do that, but we could at least start a conversation with them.
Well, I'm also wondering if BART would be a potential partner in this. I mean, I know, well, we're talking about El Cerrito. Technically, Albany doesn't have a BART station, but, you know, it'd be nice to have something along the Ohlone Greenway, whoever's responsible for the Ohlone Greenway.
Who pays for the improvements under the Ohlone Greenway?
Well, it depends, but the current improvements are being paid with Measure WW funds.
Oh, okay.
You know, I know what I was going to mention. There's this project going on Masonic, or near the senior center to make, you know, informal social areas. And it would be nice to try to get some of this in there, like if there were any way to sneak it in, or, you know, before it's over, to get some of these drinking water refilling stations.
Yeah, there is a water fountain on the plaza that's going to get refurbished. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully they'll be able to make it work again.
The Greenway is definitely one of the areas in Albany that sticks out in my mind most as having consistently non-operational water fountains.
Yeah, and I think to be clear, we are talking about a little more than a water fountain.
Yeah.
We're talking about a filtered water bottle refilling station that has some sort of, like, such as we have at the high schools. There's one at Berkeley High too. That's sort of tamper-proof so that people, like you said, it doesn't break down.
Yeah.
And a doggy basin.
Yeah.
Dogs need to benefit from the soda tax as well.
Well, more humans will use the fountains if the dogs have their own.
That's,
So I think these are all really great. So, yeah, I can definitely, I think I can incorporate all of these ideas into this and make some clarifications about the education, who will be getting the education and who it's going to be focused on. So I can do that, and then when does it need to go to the city council?
So basically, you would forward your revised draft to me, and then it'll go to the city manager. And council, the tentative dates right now for the workshop is October 30th, Monday, October 30th at 6:30. And then the council, so that's the workshop where everybody can come and provide suggestions on the use of the funds. So we recommend that the chair or vice chair of somebody from the SEJC come to the workshop and present your ideas at the workshop. And then at the the following council meeting, November 6th, is when council is going to talk about all the suggestions they've received and possibly, you know, make some decisions. But that will be the first meeting that they will consider all that they've heard from the community. The use of soda tax.
Okay.
is the date being advertised? Like, could we get that out on social media?
It's
or-
still tentative,
Okay.
so I'm just giving you what's a draft timeline. As soon as it's solidified, it will be posted.
Okay, so, you know, I come from a long history of working for federal government. So normally what we did was we revised our draft, and then it went back to the participants for their review. So I like to do that.
Well, you don't have time because the workshop is being scheduled before the next meeting. So at this point, you have to come up with something that you can all agree on, and it can be more than one suggestion. You know, like you've mentioned water access, so that can be another idea that could be added to what is already written here, and then. You know, it needs to be forwarded to the staff liaison, and then they'll move to the city manager and eventually council as well.
Okay, so is everybody, do you feel like my response to your comments are adequate, that you'll get?
I wanted to make just one more suggestion. I think we've agreed on the content, and the other suggestion would be, especially because it's folding into this broader meeting from different commissions, and just to try to make your recommendations very concise and just have, bullet points. We want to spend it on A, B, and C. And, it's great you went into depth, but in preparation for that meeting, and this was perfect for our discussion, but in preparation for that meeting, you probably want it to be a little more succinct, and so you could just go up and say, we want A, B, and C.
Yeah, that's a possibility, yeah. But you'll be okay if I'm not just 3 bullet points?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is there's a hierarchy, and you probably think a lot like I do. I like things hierarchical, but I'm just saying, prepared to go, and you're going to be up against, so to speak, 2 other commissions with their competing ideas. I mean, hypothetically, right? They might have different ideas, and you're not going to want to have too long of a you want to have something concise. That's my suggestion.
That's your suggestion. Okay, I'll take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
It's not bad the way it is. Don't get me wrong.
Thanks, Brian. We have to hear from the public, if the public wishes to speak on this.
Alan Maris, Albany resident. First, I'd like to thank Tara for serving. As a high school student, some of our brightest citizens are from the high school, and I'm seeing that from Tara as well. I know the school board has 2 high school representatives, but they don't have voting rights. Does Tara have voting rights?
She does.
Do.
Very good. Making progress. Also, I'm wondering if the school district has been requested to be a part of the workshop. It seems logical. I think it could be worded fairly strongly that you would like to see their presence at the workshop for this.
Well, I think the invitations, the advertising for the workshop is going to be broad, and the city's going to use all of their, all of their capabilities to let people know that when the workshop is going to be. I don't know that specific invitations are going to go to different entities, but yes, it's going to be well advertised.
And in terms of student outreach, I was going to mention this. I'm also planning on putting an announcement in the high school bulletin for students so that anyone who's interested will know when and where to come.
Great.
Yeah, I think invitation to school district staff or board members. I'd like you to consider that to be appropriate.
I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
And I think we should go ahead and do that, because I do recall when I read the comments from the school board, they were very concerned about how well they were going to be informed and involved. So and then they're going to be playing a central role.
There's also a school committee. It has something, health something. I forget what it's called. But they deal with nutrition issues in the school, mental health issues.
All right. Well, we'll send the invitation to the school board, and they'll know where to direct it. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on Soditex? Okay. And then the other item on the agenda is the Community Resource Center, and it says staff will provide an update.
Yes, so included in your packet, I included some reporting that we're starting to do for June, July, and August. So there's a section for outreach conducted. So that's basically Allison doing outreach via email, phone, or in person to the agencies listed. And also, we created a section for community meeting presentations. So those are presentations that Allison does as part of her outreach to let people know about the resource center. And then there's also some referrals and assistance. So we're listing also the agencies that she has referred potential visitors or clients to that she's working with. But just notice that these are the June, July, and August report. The resource center was not open then, but Allison had already started working with folks because as soon as she came on board, she got some referrals from staff or from other members in the community who found out that she of her expertise. So since then, since these reports have been drafted, we don't have the September report because September just finished, but we did open on September 8th. And Allison has seen 15 people so far. And we did have an open house, very successful open house on the 29th, last Friday. And it was well attended. Different people, city staff, city council members, commissioners, residents, people seeking services. So it was a very nice event. And we also had presentations by some of the service providers who offer hours when the resource center is open. So Robbie Montoya from Albany Project Hope. We had Berkeley Mental Health, Marcella from Berkeley Mental Health. And we also had someone who works with immigration services. So it was and then Allison, of course, did also a presentation. So it was an event of about 3 hours. It felt like we put in a lot of information, and it felt like it was very appreciated by everybody who was there. So we will continue to provide you with monthly reports. So at the next meeting, you'll get the September report, and we'll probably be there'll be more information on it because now the center is open, so we'll be able to give you a little bit more information on how the center is going.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to add a couple. I thought it was really fantastic, and one of the things she talked about for future was bringing someone in that could do some kind of dental work on people. Mm-hmm. The other thing she mentioned is that she has 2 tablets that people can go and check out if they don't have access to a computer. So, that information is really not widely distributed, and I thought people would like to know that, especially the homeless, since they probably don't have access to computers. We can let them know through the shower program, but we need to do outreach to get people to go to the resource center. To me, that's the next step in making this successful is what kind of outreach can we do to make sure that the word is out there, that the center's there when it's open, and that it gets to the right people. So I think we really need to talk about that.
Okay, let's see. Well, this is for information only, so maybe we need to put it on the agenda for next time then. Okay. So I think it looks amazing, all the different contacts that she's made. And when we get the reports in the future, will it talk about like the number of people?
Yes, so we'll provide more information as we gather data from the activities at the center. Yes.
And
as far as that, go ahead.
There were refillable water bottles that say Albany Community Resource Center on them.
Yes, so we gave away, and we're still giving them away. So anybody who comes to the resource center and has not gotten a refillable water bottle, will get one. So, and as far as outreach, I just wanted to just let you know what we've done so far. As far as advertising, we have a flyer, which I had right here. Anyways, they're in the back, and so we have a flyer, we have a postcard, And the information is on the city website, and it's also going in the e-news. And at the open house, we had a lot of postcards and flyers, and we asked everybody to take some and help us out, help to get the word out. So as Margie said, it's going to take a lot, everybody's help to get the word out about the resource center and for the word to get to the right people as well. So feel free, if you need any postcards or want flyers, just let me know, and I'm happy to provide some.
Okay, thanks, that's good.
Yeah.
I was wondering, should we take comment? Is there any comment from the public?
I think,
we not?
oh, it's for information? Okay. Alan?
He was there too.
Not to name names or anything.
Don't point anybody out.
Yeah.
Alan Maris, Albany resident. As a resident, I'd really like to thank you all for making this happen. Bart Grossman actually was one of the speakers as well. Your chairman, I think he's still chairman.
Yes.
And the mayor spoke. So we got a lot of support in this community, and I think it was a very successful event. I serve with the Diverse Housing Working Group in Albany, and for about 5 years, we've been trying to get affordable housing in this city, as well as services for people less fortunate who really don't have a place to stay. And we put out a survey, and Allison has actually incorporated a lot of our survey questions in a survey that she has at the center for people who are looking for homes and services. And I know that the clients are trickling in, but I'm seeing them an increasing number of people showing up. We're heading in the right direction. So as Margie Marks said, we need to do more outreach. I think the showers at the high school are helping. We're getting maybe 15 or 20 people coming for showers. We give them the resource center information. So, and I know that the community center has posters up, and the senior center is well aware of this. So, good progress. Thank you very much.
I'd be interested in getting some postcards if that was possible too.
Oh, sure. Yes.
You said there's some in the back on the table?
I saw that there's postcards left on in the lobby on the
Oh,
back
oh,
table.
okay.
There's probably not enough.
Yeah, that's
But if you, I can get them to you
okay. Yeah.
this week.
Okay, let's move on to future agenda items. And we can start with Margie.
Well, I'd like to put A1,
Okay.
and I know it'll be on the city council agenda before then, so I'd like to do a status of it at our meeting.
Okay,
And I would like to do, provide an update on the shower program.
okay. Brian? Anything for our agenda next time?
Just what we mentioned earlier about the making a difference in the community and going around and making some kind of statement. The thing we talked about at the beginning.
What specifically?
The email that we got from the Democratic Club.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. Tara?
Well, a soda tax update, I think, will be in order. And we'll probably have an inclusivity subcommittee update by that point, too.
Okay.
And then also, I don't know if this is for next meeting or just in the future, but I have been thinking a little bit about how one of the items on our work plan was looking at the needs of the senior citizen community in Albany. And so maybe, and I think we talked a while ago about getting an update from someone from the Senior Citizen Center or somebody involved there. And so if we could either talk about what we can do to support them or get an update from somebody about their needs, I think that would be beneficial.
I think it was Aging in Place, was that the one
Yeah.
thinking about? Okay. And what did you say in relationship to the community center?
Senior Center.
Senior,
Yes,
says
senior
senior center, yeah.
Okay, so somebody from the senior center to talk about aging in place?
Yeah, and just the needs of the senior citizens of Albany in general.
Isabel, you're in charge of that, right?
Yeah, so I think at the last meeting, it was also mentioned, and it's something I can prepare for a future meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
All right, so I have A1, status from the city council meeting, update from on the shower program, follow-up to the Albany Democratic Club invitation, soda tax update, inclusivity update, and aging in place. So does everybody think we can get through all of those?
Well, it's for future meetings. It may not necessarily be for the next meeting, but it's future agenda items.
Okay, and when Bart's back, then we can
Yeah, I'll
We
work
need
with
to-
Bart on.
narrow it down. Yeah. All right. So I think that's all of our business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So motion.
Anybody
Adjourn.
second?
Second.
The meeting is adjourned.
Aye.
Oh, I forgot to vote. Take a vote.
Vote with your feet. Tara, do you need a ride?
No, I have one.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Just for the record. The ayes have it to adjourn.
Okay. Good meeting, Kathy.